Man, it was so cool to see the Darksaber again. I really enjoyed seeing Djarin, although clumsily, use it in the Book of Boba Fett. It's now sad to remember that series as being better without Boba Fett than better with Boba in it, although it was his own series. We got 2 episodes fully with the Mandalorian and his struggle with the Darksaber. Even though we thought he had started to manage its weight, its power, it seems like he still has trouble using it, because in episode 2, we saw Din Djarin wield the Darksaber against the Elamites, although he had a very rough time with it. He could barely move it, and the fact that the Elamites surrounded him and started pounding on him did not bode a good look. He even resorted to stabbing an Elamite on the leg with his own blade, with a smaller blade that he keeps on his leg. So it seems like the armorer that trained him and told him how to use it, what needs to be done in order for Din Djarin to use it effectively, has still not taken effect. The opposite happened with Bo-Katan, and this is what we're going to discuss in this video. I really wanted to hone in on the fact that they obviously showed Din Djarin still has trouble using it, while later on, Bo-Katan takes the Darksaber and uses it with ease to such an extent that not only does she impale that Grievous-like creature in the heart, but then later on she slices that mecha cyborg to pieces without even breaking a sweat. So how is this possible, and why? Why is it so easy for Bo-Katan to use it while Din Djarin, presumably a stronger male, has such a hard time using a delicate weapon like the Darksaber? To answer this, we have to involve Moff Gideon again, because even though Moff Gideon has not been present in this series so far, and the last time we saw him was in The Mandalorian Season 2 in the last episode, where Din Djarin factually gets the Darksaber from him, wins it, and therefore now is the true owner of the Darksaber, making him quote-unquote Mandalore? Not really, but he has it in his possession. Even Bo-Katan, after using it, gives it up to Din Djarin again, because she has not won it in battle. The only person to win it in battle as of right now is Din Djarin. But if you remember, when they fight, Moff Gideon, not being a trained Sith, a trained Jedi, perhaps not even being trained that much in saber training. He is an Imperial after all, and Imperials do not wield swords. They have blasters. They are focused more like an army rather than knights who fight with sabers. Whatever the case, we see that Moff Gideon does not have any trouble wielding the Darksaber. And for sure, Din Djarin is stronger, he is built tighter, bigger than Moff Gideon. And yet, Din Djarin again has trouble wielding it while Moff Gideon doesn't. Now we come to the point where we need to explain, just like the armorer, why the Darksaber is this delicate. You see, back in the Book of Boba Fett, episode 5, if I'm not mistaken, the armorer explained to Din Djarin that this unusual lightsaber requires its wielder to be focused in mind and body, meaning that they need to have a singular focus. The weapon and its wielder need to be one. The wielder cannot have any conflict whatsoever. Of course, if we take out Din Djarin and put in, for example, Luke Skywalker, we know that Luke would wield the Darksaber with no problem whatsoever, because Luke has achieved that Jedi Master status, the status of being one, being present. Like Qui-Gon said, focus on the moment. This is essentially what the Darksaber boils down to. It reveals your true character. Whereas Din Djarin hides beneath Beskar armor, even a helmet, the Darksaber reveals everything, shows your true nature. Not that Din Djarin is evil or sinister. The problem with Din Djarin, metaphorically of course, is that he is hiding behind something. He is ashamed of his journey. This is made abundantly apparent, where he sacrifices even his life and Grogu's life to travel to Mandalore, supposedly a toxic planet bombed to smithereens, just in order for him to bathe in the living waters beneath the mines of Mandalore so that he could cleanse himself. Metaphorically, this shows you exactly why Din Djarin still has conflict within him. He feels like he has betrayed his creed. By removing his helmet, he is no longer at peace. He has broken the code. Whether Whether somebody feels same as you or even mocks you, that doesn't matter. What matters is what you feel. Because if we are frank, Bo-Katan does not believe in Din Djarin's creed. She couldn't give two Fs. Even when Din Djarin mentions the living waters, she mocks the living waters, saying that there's nothing there basically. It's just for show. And yet, Bo-Katan wields it with no problem. This essentially means that even Bo-Katan being depressed right now, we see her in her castle all alone, just depressed all day sitting on her throne. Her entire crew has abandoned her, but Bo-Katan does not struggle using the Darksaber. This means that she is still focused. She is still sound of mind and body. The Darksaber recognizes this and does not fight against its wielder, when at that time was Bo-Katan. I said even in the review that how Bo-Katan used the Darksaber so effectively, she could even challenge a seasoned Jedi Knight. Maybe not a Jedi Master, but definitely a Jedi Knight. Going further, if you consider her ray shield on her wrist, she uses it like in a fantasy genre. Bo-Katan, I could say that she even broke the mold, because in Star Wars, we have been accustomed to seeing saber wielder, whether that be lightsaber, darksaber, vibrosword, everybody uses a saber until somebody defeats them. Bo-Katan uses a weapon and an armor so effectively that it reminds me of Skyrim, of Lord of the Rings, like genres like that. This is so effective in breaking the mold that we have been accustomed to in watching the Jedi just fight with their lightsabers. Now somebody like Bo-Katan could defend themselves with the ray shield and use the Darksaber. You remember I mentioned Moff Gideon in the beginning, and the question was, how did Moff Gideon use it so easily as well? It seems like even though he was evil and sinister, again, he was focused in mind and body, same as the armorer said. He had a purpose. Even though he had evil intentions, his purpose, his mission was clear. Bring back the reign of the Empire. He is focused on that goal, and this gives him a singular focus for him to be able to wield the Darksaber with ease as well. Why I think that Din Djarin's last struggle was in episode where he used it against the Elamites, I think that is the last moment we see Din Djarin struggling with the Darksaber, because now Din Djarin has officially cleansed himself in the living waters. Now he is pure in heart and mind, at least in his mind. Now he won't feel that guilty and that conflicted, that he will be able to use the Darksaber more and more freely and effectively against his opponents after episode 2. Yesterday's video was really great because I essentially explained that now it's not just the Darksaber for you to become the true Mandalore. We see the lore is expanded. The true Mandalore does not just wield the Darksaber, he also tames the Mythosaur. So now with the introduction of the Mythosaur, this means that Din Djarin won't just wield the Darksaber, he will eventually, maybe not this season, who knows, we'll see at the end what happens. He doesn't just wield the Darksaber, he might tame that Mythosaur as well, and everything will be forgiven. He might be the unifier. Right now, everything is completely in disarray. Bo-Katan and her crew, the armorer and their clan, everything is falling apart. This is just the right moment for Din Djarin to swoop in with his Darksaber and Mythosaur, bring them all back together. Wouldn't that be a great end to Season 3? Talk to me down below in the comments, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, leave a thumbs up down below. Subscribe for dailies. Now you have an awesome day, Star Wars fans. I'll see you in the next video, and may the Force be with you. Until then.